Hey there, it's Paul Mosenson, founder of New Spark Media Group, and I wanted to show you my master chart, how I track media for clients. This is a little complicated, but bear with me, okay? This is the Master Conversion Tracking Scorecard, and this is how it's done. This is blank, and it's customized for clients that we get. But again, the whole idea is measuring media with offers so we know what works, so that we can spend your money wisely. Okay, so what's going on here? So we start at the top, and this box is important here. If you see the arrow, conversion attribution. We're going to enter 0 to 100, but when we start a campaign to promote an offer, we need to have a discussion on which attribution model we'll be using. We're not going to get in the weeds on that right now. It's on the website, but this is where we input it. As you can see, you got to add up to 100. If you're only focused on the last click, that gets 100. If you only care about the first click, that gets 100. Or most models, you may want to have something in the middle. You know, a view conversion is, I've seen an ad, but I did not click it, but I still converted within a conversion window, which we'll talk about in a minute. First click is obviously the first time someone clicked and didn't convert, but they converted later. A mid-click is all the other clicks within the funnel, so to speak. Could include retargeting, email, those kinds of things. Now the mid-click L is that is the last click before the final click of the conversion, because when you have a model where it's giving more credit to the later channels, then usually the channel before the last click conversion gets a higher value. So again, it all depends on our strategy, our offers, and what makes sense and for an individual basis by client. But that's important because these are going to be formulas here. So each level, whichever ones we use, is going to have a number in here, and they have to total up to 100. And then we'll create a weighted conversion value of each medium, of each creative we're using. That's what the segments are all about here. I mean, obviously paid search by ad groups, different social media channels. Segment could be, demos or third-party data, first-party data, different kinds of targeting. Again, we can customize Excel spreadsheets depending on how many segments we need, but that's the idea. And then we also have like a retargeting platform as well. You go down here, we have a YouTube, we have 2 display channels. One could be geofencing, the other one could be regular programmatic, retargeting platform. We also include first party data match if we wanted to do that as part of our media plan. And then we go into TV, radio, print, and direct mail, and as well as email. So these channels are basically trackable, which means in our decision making process for tracking media, we can use a QR code which goes to a URL and a UTM parameter, which is a Google tracking measure. As you see it all up here, it basically will show you that in a second. But that's how companies track the sources and the mediums and the campaigns of their campaigns with Google Analytics. So we may have 3 different TV segments or 3 different channels like Hulu or streaming, things like that, OTT. So we have either a QR code, we can have a vanity URL, we can have text messaging that all goes to a custom URL UTM parameter, so we can track everything. Don't want to get too much in the weeds, but everything is going to be tracked because all of these UTMs from TV, radio, print, and direct mail, which typically aren't clickable to a website, that's where we have to use the vanity URL so people can remember them. Versus a text message, which is like a short code to a phone number, which means that when somebody texts, they get a promotional URL to their phone, and that again is trackable with a UTM Google Analytics parameter. Print and direct mail, similar. You can look at the card or look at the ad and go right to your computer and whether it's for your QR code or through a vanity URL, which is basically a simple, memorable URL which gets redirected through your host through a Google Analytics website landing page trackable URL. And again, I can help set that up. That's a lot here, isn't it, so far? So anyway, but these are all examples of digital channels that we want to track, all the different metrics here. So let's move forward here. We can, from the platforms, we can certainly add the impressions and the clicks that we get from each segment, of course. Now here's, under the green is the platform pixel. Most digital channels have a pixel, goes into your website through like a Google Tag Manager, which is again a code that or a service that works with Google Analytics 4 to track events and conversions. So we can put all those codes on the Tag Manager, which means it goes to your website, so these third-party media channels can track their results and optimize based on what's happening with those pixels. Anyway, but it gets a little intricate here when you talk about a view look back and a click look back. A look back window is basically how many days it takes for the platform to track when a conversion occurs. Now, if you have a quick sale, you probably want to go to the minimal look back windows of 7 days. If it's a long buying cycle, maybe 60 days, maybe up to 90. An average for these channels is about 30. So again, that's a strategy that we'll look at when we do the media plan, so that we want to track it all here, so we kind of know which channels do what. Like Facebook is kind of stuck at 7 days, so that's going to be a default there, but other channels may have 30 days. So anyway, that's using their third-party pixels, because that's how these channels are going to optimize. And a view look back is basically saying, I saw the ad, like we showed up here in the conversion attribution model. I saw the ad, and then later on I converted. A click look back is, again, another business decision, whether I don't really worry about the view look backs. I'd rather track the clicks. So that's a click look back window. Could be, again, a strategy of how many days we look at, if clicks are, of course, just as important. So you may get the first click conversion there and a mid click based on tracking these look back windows. Anyway, again, there's more about that on the website. Now let's go through the metrics here and the formulas here, because remember, we have filled in here 1 to 100, or 0 to 100, adding up to 100, obviously, based on our attribution model we decide to use for our campaigns. So view through conversion here, we just get from the sites the amount that they're tracking, and then the value basically takes the number times the value we have up here. So right up here is, say, the first channel, let's just say social 1, whatever it is, it's going to take the total times the box in here in G4. So that's the view conversion. Let's move over a little bit. The platforms may track the click conversions as well separately, and so we can put those numbers in as well, and we get them a value as well. Most of them are going to be in the first click or the mid click scenario, but for them, they're not tracking that separation, they're just tracking click conversion. So we'll just typically default to the first click value that we have here. And then we're going to move over, that's where they go. Now we go to Google Analytics 4, which we set up, a lot of robust reports there. We'll get in that more here, but we have they can track based on if you have GA4 set up properly, and I set up the conversions properly, a form or whatever the coupon click download. It's basically going to be the action of somebody who either signs up as a lead or it becomes a sale, one of those two. But anyway, so we have the first click conversion that we're tracking here, then we get the first click conversion value, which is the first click attribution number. We have mid clicks that we can track through the funnel. They get a point level if we're using that at all. Mid click L is the mid click, the last conversion like we just showed above, and so that has its own value as well. And then the last click conversion number, and then the value there. So we fill out for every channel that we do, we fill all this out, and then we compile it all as we go to the right to the weighted conversion values, which basically summarizes, adds all of the conversion value numbers together, and then we put in the total spend for each segment or each channel, and then we have our cost per conversion. So that's how that works. So we're basically not concerned as much about the last click conversion, but we want to give all the mediums credit, which is why we track attribution, and that's what this is all about. Because again, we want to make sure we're spending money in the right place, with the right audiences, the right segments, the right creative. All those kinds of things are important so that we can optimize on an ongoing basis and that make better decisions for another sale that we work together on. So that's how that works. Some of the other tabs I have here are non-direct links. So this is tracking broadcast TV, cable, maybe streaming TV, digital audio, on-air radio, print, and direct mail that aren't directly. If we decide to use phone numbers or promo codes, we can track that here as well and make a list of different promo codes for each medium that we're using or each segment that we're using. Again, it's all about tracking and measuring based on segments and what the segment definition is. I mean, broadcast could be let's do direct response TV versus fixed, or maybe it's different demographics, men versus women, right? Cable TV can include third-party, first-party data and different demographics and geographies and things like that. So basically what we're doing here is, again, compiling all of the tracking from the advertising that we put together when it's not directly related to a website, but we can track mediums, Spotify and broadcast, and on-air radio and with promo codes or separate phone numbers. Again, it's direct response, but we want to make sure that we can at least have some kind of tracking mechanism in place. So we'll do that here, count everything together, media cost, cost per activity. So there's a lot here, but again, this is the best that we can do to track, results of non-direct website traffic. But again, if it's a compelling offer and a compelling message, then we can do that. Finally, we also have our own UTM builder. A lot of agencies do it. This is mine. Again, we're just using Excel to create, your sources, your mediums, and the codes and all those kinds of things. But when you put it all together, it combines it all together into one tracking URL like this, so you can track your source, medium, content, campaigns. And we also will use this to track the vanity URLs that we create, like the one I put up here, newsparkmediagroup.com/hire, for example. There's a vanity URL can redirect to the final URL for analytics tracking. So I hope that helps. Anyway, that's how everything works. It's the Master Conversion Tracking Report, and I hope didn't lose you too much, but it's very important that when we engage that we track everything carefully, and I do it this way because it's the only tool I've seen that can show everything that I need to show in order to provide you results and answer the question, did it work? Google Analytics anyway, there is a section called Attribution Settings, and where back in the day it was all based on last click. If you check it, their default attribution model in Google Analytics is now data driven, so a lot of the conversions you're going to track or on the reporting is going to be based on the attribution combined with the last click together in Google's model. It doesn't have to be that way. You can certainly just focus on the last click if that's important to you anyway. For Google Analytics, then just choose that one, and then make sure paid and organic channels are selected so you can track everything through the funnel on Google Analytics. And again, they have their conversion window too. Again, they track clicks and not views because obviously they're tracking the website. So they default to 30 days for the conversion events. If it's a short buying cycle, we can change it back to 7, but 30 is pretty standard here. But again, that's a decision we'll make when we talk. Okay, makes sense? High level stuff here, but when they go over attribution and what I do to help the media buys work as best they can to save you money. Okay, thanks. Give me a call if you have any questions or contact me. Bye.